Pedro, you're 4 weeks away from fighting Aljamain Sterling in Las Vegas. How's your training camp going for this fight?
It's going great. It's going great. You know, I just fought like less than 2 months ago against Cody Garbrandt. I finished the fight healthy, no injury, and literally like I got the news like less than a month. So for me, it's perfect. You know, it's like the best time of my life, in my professional career. So I'm looking forward to get that finish one more time, and be the next contender.
You're coming off big wins against Cody and Ryan. What different challenge he brings to the table because of his fighting style?
Yeah, actually, he's kind of like a lot of similar style like Brian Caraway. He's a grappler and wrestler. You know, Brian Caraway, he's a wrestler as well. So switch Aljamain Sterling. It's a little bit different the style against my last fight against Cody Garbrandt. He's gonna this time, bring the table like the wrestling pressure, the grappling, which I'm comfortable with. I fought with a lot of wrestlers. I came from jiu-jitsu, but also I'm like a complete fighter. I have been like improved and showing a lot of my last fights. My striking game and knocking my opponents out.
Is it a bit frustrating to not be able to not get a title shot already after your recent win, or is that something kind of you already imagined given the state of the division?
I'm happy to be in a situation right now. I know it's one more step. Of course, our dream is always to fight for the title. After my last victory against Cody Garbrandt was like a victory that I deserve fighting for the title. But they had the reasons to match Cejudo against Pedro Munhoz. Completely understand that, and this is already on the past. My next challenge right now is gonna be Aljamain Sterling, tough and opponent experience. He's gonna both is gonna go and do that scrap. He wanna fight for the title, I wanna fight for the title, and then June 8th we're gonna prove who deserves that fight more, and that's what I'm waiting for.
He was only finished once in MMA. Is that how you envision yourself beating him?
Say it again?
He was only finished once in MMA. Is that how you envision yourself beating him?
Oh yeah, of course. Every single fight, I'm not a point fighter. I never look for like decisions, things like that. And all my last fights, it shows that I'm always looking for the finish, the knockout and the submissions. And this time it's not gonna be different.
You talked about being like really focused on your next challenge, and that you understand why the fight between Marlon and Cejudo was made. But was it frustrating at first because the division's always been kind of like been in a weird situation for a while? Were you frustrated?
I was frustrated a little bit because that's the second time that they stopped our division. First time that was TJ Dillashaw went down, to flyweight, and now the second time, again was not two guy of the bantamweight division was fighting for the title. But to be realistic, to be honest, I'm not a politician. I don't know what's going on. I'm focusing myself, and I'm ready to fight anyone. And for UFC reasons, there was not the fight to happen right now. Marlon against myself. And for their reasons, they want to do against Cejudo and myself against Aljamain Sterling. I'm very grateful for that. I'm still getting another fight. And I believe after that, impressive victory over Aljamain Sterling, I'm gonna be the next contender.
You mentioned TJ Dillashaw. I think I've spoken to a few bantamweights, and some of them were kind of glad that he's kind of out of the picture because they feel like it gives like a little bit of new air to the division. Are you like of that opinion as well?
I don't. He's the champion. He's a great fighter. The things that happened with him, it was unfortunately, it's each his own. I'm not judging him for the stuff that he did or he didn't. He is a good fighter. If he's fighting all the time because he does that very well, he self-fights and he goes there and brings the table. He does a great fight. So, that's the only thing that I have to say about that.
Yeah, because you mentioned you're not judging him, and fighters really have different opinions, I guess. Some of them are like really angry, and
yes.
Some of them are like more casual about it. So you're not really that bothered by what happened.
He's really like in a bad situation right now, you know, cap or EPO. You know, a lot of people is already saying a lot of bad things about him. He's probably feel like shit right now. So I'm not gonna be the one right there and push. You know, I think he's already, you know, going through a lot of stuff emotionally. You know, like I said, it's each his own. He had his reason to do that, and he's gonna pay for what he did.
Sterling has been tweeting about the case you were involved with in Canada about the testosterone case. Is it bothering that he's bringing that thing up again?
You know, he's already like giving an excuse for the lost. You know, my case, what I had was probably 5 or 4 years ago, was before USADA. You know, it was a mess. You know, we were fighting like 8 months. You know, I have the custody with me. There was a broken chain of custody about the Nevada, Nova Scotia. You know, the commission. It was a mess. I was spending a lot of money to prove my innocent, and they were saying their stuff. We were able to prove that their chain of custody was broken. There was a lot of stuff that was wrong, and they couldn't find any substance. The only thing that they say that was my testosterone level was higher than the other fights that I did, which it, you know, I guess testosterone levels, they are one level in the morning, one level. So, you know, but what I'm gonna tell you this is, you know, USADA has been in the picture for like 3 years almost. I have been tested over the 20 times. You know, if he's saying that, he's a bitch, and June 8th he's gonna pay for it.
Speaking of commissions,
you don't usually talk about your opponents like that.
But I say what it is. For guys that act like a bitch, I call them like a bitch. The guys that I don't know, I don't have no reasons to say that. I'm not a trash talk, but when someone is talking, I hope you have a proof that he's saying that, because
he tweeted about it.
Because I don't go in Twitter at all, because in Twitter is a bunch of bitches that fucking go there and tweet a bunch of shit. I know I focus always on myself, you know, and if he's doing that, he's a bitch. And June 8th, he's gonna pay for it, because he has not proof. Nobody has a proof. Even the Nova Scotia Athletic Commission doesn't have a proof, because we have the chain of custody was like 80 pages, and it was a mess. It was a mess. You know, basically USADA, I love USADA protocol. You know, I believe that we all have to compete at the same level. I have been tested with them, like I said, more than 20 times. And if he says something that was not a fact and something that was 5 years ago, it just shows that he's a bitch. And that's why he goes and likes my pictures, because he wanted me to be his friend, because he want to take the way that the beating that I'm going to give him on June 8th.
He likes your pictures on Instagram?
Yeah, he does. He's a bitch.
Does that make you want to beat him up even more?
Same, you know. But no respect for him. You know, he has no proof. Even if you see the articles way back then, we were involved with that the whole time. You know, I have no reasons to lie. It is what it is, you know. So every time that I go at night, putting my head on the pillow, my conscience is clean. You know, like I said, again, the 3rd time I haven't been tested USADA for over than 20 times. I love USADA protocol, you know, and they on top on us, and that's it. You know, I let him talk as much as he wants, but just stop going my page and liking my pictures and text me and doing all kind of dance, because on the other hand you go there and talk shit on Twitter. So who kind of person you are? You want to be a friend? You want to like my pictures? You want to trash talk? So if I would see you in Brazil, you bet you would get a slap in your face, because here's our rules.
What is he texting you?
Because he's a bitch.
What? When he sends you a text, what he say?
Like a couple times, some of the pictures he went, and then he was texting me like emojis and funny things and things like that. And I was like, dude, we're not friends. I mean, we're gonna be with each other in June 8th. But I was kind of didn't say anything to him. But after you told me that, and you did a good job, because you know I'm pissed off, and that's what you guys want to see. That, congrats to you guys. Now I'm mad. So if I see him, I'm gonna slap that bitch in the face. I'm cool. I don't trash talk. but I'm a Brazilian. You know, I grew up in the street. I grew up in the ghetto. So I don't trash talk because I respect people. But if the guys wanna come and say something shit and things that I'm gonna like, you know what I mean? So I don't like bullies. And you know, in my whole life, I beat up bullies. So. And I'm, like I said, I'm like, you know, I grew up like in the streets in São Paulo. You know, he grew up like in New York. So, you know, here we handle shit different, you know, and we don't talk shit. And even though you don't see myself talking anything about TJ Dillashaw, he has to be reasons to do it. He did. He's gonna pay for it. But it is what it is, you know. I'm happy to be here to watch a lot of friends tonight. You know, it's gonna be a big night of fights, and very excited. And in 4 weeks, it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be my turn.
And changing tunes a little bit, you did mention it wasn't your time to have that title fight yet, but do you see any other fight for you with a win over Aljamain that isn't for the title?
Say it again.
Do you see any possibility that it isn't a title fight next if you beat Aljamain?
Oh yeah. You know, my last 3-4 fights has been like a, you know, big statement. You know, I'm fighting a guy's number 3. I'm number 4. I know rankings. It doesn't mean a lot, but it's still, you know, Aljamain has a lot of fights. I do have a lot of fights. You know, I guess we are very close right there. We are part of the top 5 in the rankings, and I believe, like, you know, one of us after this fight, you know, probably gonna go to a title fight.
If you don't get it though, are you okay with taking another fight, or are you not even like thinking about it?
I'm not even thinking about that far away on this point right now.
You just had a situation with the Nevada Commission. They fined you for a celebration. What are your thoughts on that fine? Were you kind of expecting that? Because they say that they told fighters that they wouldn't be able to do that anymore. Were you informed beforehand that you couldn't do that?
My wife said that they did say it, but I was about to fight, so you know I was not probably paying attention. If it's a rule, if they say something, you know, they did what they have to do, and yeah, they fined me. And yeah, they fined me 2,500 for that, you know, the victory celebration of the fans. And if they want to do a statement for the fighters, they don't do that anymore. I'm agree with. I didn't know about it. I did, and that's something that's not gonna happen anymore because I don't want to keep paying all the fines for the commission.
You're going back to Las Vegas now. Are you planning on new kind of celebrations to avoid fines?
Yes, definitely not jumping the fence.